about the funeral matter. Funeral? I'm busy with work, so just handle it yourself. Isn't that all your responsibility anyway? How can he act like a complete stranger when our daughter passed away? At the age of 10 due to illness? Even after our daughter was given a terminal diagnosis, he never spent time for her. I realized it was no use expecting anything from him anymore. I arranged the funeral myself, said my final goodbyes to our daughter, and returned home. Sitting alone at the table where we often ate together, I slumped down, overwhelmed by the reality that she was truly gone. Hey. What are you spacing out for? Make sure this suit gets cleaned. You're practically a maid around here, so you might as well do that much. While hurling insults and throwing the suit at me, I had no mental energy to argue with my husband. And now that our daughter was gone, I saw no need to stay with him any longer. Then, what's this? A divorce paper. Inside the pocket of the suit he threw, I found a completed divorce form. So, he meant for me to submit this to the city office as well? Understood. I went to the city office on my own and submitted the divorce form. A month later, we went to my in-laws' house to gather with the relatives. However, the scene there left my husband speechless in shock. My name is Sandra, and I'm currently living happily with my husband and our 5-year-old daughter. I work part-time while taking care of our daughter, though I used to be a stay-at-home mom. But that life fell apart when our daughter turned 4. There's something I need to talk to you about our daughter. What's so formal all of a sudden? What's going on? She's been getting sick easily over the past year and always says she feels tired. I thought it was strange, so I took her to the hospital today, and it turns out she's ill. The discovery of her illness was a shock to me, too, and hard to accept. Later, after further testing, it was confirmed that our daughter had a chronic disease. There are few cases of it, so there's no established treatment. One clear fact is that children who develop this disease tend to lose their lives around the age of 10. What are you talking about? Is that true? That can't be. Maybe there was a mistake in the tests, a diagnostic error or something? I wish that were the case. But she's had a detailed examination at a major hospital. We have no choice but to accept it. No way. I'll never accept that. He stormed back to his room, breathing heavily. The door slammed shut with such force that it echoed loudly in the living room. I couldn't say anything to my husband, but I could somewhat understand his feelings. When I heard the news at the hospital, I became emotional and yelled at the doctor. It was unthinkable that our daughter would die so young. Objectively, it's odd to say such things after tests, but as a parent, it was hard to accept. Why? Why out of all the children in the world, did it have to be our daughter? Thinking about it didn't solve anything and only made me cry more. I couldn't control my emotions. Mommy. I want to go to the park today. Let's take Daddy with us. Daddy is busy with work, so let's go, just the two of us. I hadn't told our young daughter about her illness, but every time she innocently asked to play, it felt like my heart was being torn apart. This feeling never changed no matter how much time passed. Knowing our 5-year-old daughter had only 5 more years to live kept me up at night. And when I did manage to sleep, I was often plagued by nightmares. But dwelling on the unchangeable facts was pointless. If we only have 5 years left. I swore in my heart that we would cherish every second of those 5 years together. Hello? Stop calling me so many times. I told you, when I'm late, it's because of work or a drinking party. Wait a moment. Today is her birthday, why are you at a drinking party? You should take care of that. If I don't attend the company's drinking parties, they'll think I'm not a team player. Not a team player. What's the problem with that? Is the company's reputation more important than celebrating the limited birthdays we have left with our daughter? Don't joke about this. Our daughter is not like other children. She doesn't have decades left to live and celebrate dozens of birthdays. I wish he would cherish each day, but instead, he prioritizes company drinking parties and golf with his boss, neglecting our family for his own interests. I've overlooked some things until now, but ignoring her birthday was unforgivable. Enough already. It's only once a year, and you can go to drinking parties anytime. Making you prioritize that over our daughter's birthday. The people in the company are good for nothing. Don't talk like you know everything when you're just a stay-at-home mom who knows nothing about the company. Indeed, I don't know what his company is like or what his position there entails. However, is there anything more important than our daughter's birthday in our family? I can't understand that, nor do I want to. Is this really all his feelings for his daughter amount to? That's what I ended up thinking. To outsiders, I might look like a wife who doesn't understand her husband's job. But I don't care about that. What's most important to us now is our daughter's presence. And I will outright reject any excuse from a husband who won't prioritize that. Don't bother coming back home. Shut up. Then I'll just do as I please. He became infuriated, not caring about our daughter. But I no longer cared. My daughter was looking forward to spending her birthday with him. But I told her everything without holding back. We went to the restaurant I had reserved and had a wonderful birthday together. But my husband didn't return until the next morning. Where have you been until this time? You told me to do as I please, didn't you? So what's wrong with that? You've never even accompanied her to the hospital, and lately, it's been all about yourself. What do you think of your family? To be honest, I have my own life. And since you're the stay-at-home mom, child rearing is your job, so don't push it onto me. Was he just saying hurtful things because he was angry, or was it his true feeling? I couldn't tell, and I didn't want to believe it was the latter. But his actions were always self-prioritized, not for his daughter or our family. Why can't he prioritize our daughter, who has so little time left? I was mentally exhausted thinking about our daughter. And I thought he was the only one who would understand and support me. But gradually, our relationship went cold. Happy birthday, Mom. I guess Dad doesn't care about birthdays and would rather go out drinking as usual. Yes. But having you celebrate is enough for me. I'm happy to hear that. I don't know how many more times I can celebrate your birthday, but I'll always be on your side. My daughter turned 8, understood her illness, and accepted that she wouldn't live long. Yet, she always smiled and was my emotional support. My husband continued to leave the house on his days off and wouldn't return until morning. He even began to skimp on our daughter's medical expenses. So I reluctantly started working part-time. Honestly speaking, I wanted to spend more time with my daughter. Especially since she was receiving home care and would be alone while I worked. Yet, when I returned from work, my daughter would have prepared a simple meal or baked cookies, waiting for me. Living with just the two of us became irreplaceable to me. 2 more years passed, and one day, after my daughter turned 10. Cough. Cough. Are you okay? You've been feeling unwell lately. After I finish work today, shall we go to the hospital together?
Yeah.
The doctor had given her a life expectancy of 10 years. I knew it was coming, but as her condition worsened day by day, I found myself crying daily. When will it come? When will it be time? I fought with those feelings every day, and my heart was nearly breaking. But as long as my daughter still had warmth in her hands, I never showed her a sad face. Mom. Can I talk to you for a moment? What's wrong? I was talking with the doctor, and he said I don't have much longer. I'm totally fine with it, but I'm worried about you being alone after I'm gone. You know, with Dad and everything. My daughter had truly grown up emotionally, and I hadn't expected her to be comforting me. I tried not to show sadness in front of her, but she saw right through me. Really? As a mother, am I failing? It's hardest on my daughter, yet I'm making her worry about me. But when she said that, I couldn't hold back my tears anymore. I'm sorry for making you worry about me. Mom, don't apologize. I'm not blaming you for anything. But there's something I need to talk about, Dad. I was surprised by what my daughter said about her father. At her age, she was seriously considering what would happen after she departed. Especially since the relationship between my husband and me had grown cold. I felt truly sorry, but I decided to devote my time and effort to my daughter while she was still here. Half a year later. I'm sorry to say this. My daughter's condition suddenly worsened, and she had been hospitalized for about a week. Watching her weaken day by day was excruciating. But I took leave from my part-time job to be by her side for the last week. I was prepared. I knew she didn't have much longer, and there was nothing I could do. But when I held my daughter's cold hand, it felt as though a hole had been punched through my heart. The one who was my sole reason for living, the most precious person in my world, was gone. I couldn't accept that reality at all, thinking that I wanted to go to her. And that there's no point in being alive. But that's not what my daughter would have wanted. I had to live strongly, so that I could be greeted with a smile when we meet again in heaven decades later. There's the funeral to prepare for. Just handle it yourself, I'm busy. Even though our daughter had passed away, my husband showed no emotion. It wasn't that he was suppressing his feelings, but he truly didn't feel anything. He had long since stopped caring about our family, let alone his beloved daughter. Well, she wasn't beloved to him, I suppose. I did all the funeral arrangements in place of my husband, who wouldn't help at all. Hey. You did wash the suit, right? What? I don't know. That's your own responsibility, isn't it? You're practically a housemaid, so it's obvious you should do all that. What does he think I am? A housemaid. I never intended to become your maid. What does he think he is? I thought, but arguing about it now was pointless. Besides, I hadn't yet sent my daughter off to heaven. Honestly, since he had been indifferent to our daughter all this time. He didn't need to attend the funeral, but if he was going to, then so be it. Despite being busy with various arrangements, I managed to get through the funeral. Then, I returned home. The house, now empty of my daughter, was eerily silent, reminding me she had truly departed. As I sat at the table where we often ate together, my husband's voice cut through the silence. Hey. Get this suit cleaned up quickly. You're like a maid, so it's your job to do that. Saying this, he threw the suit he had been wearing at me. Maid, again. He's always looked down on me like that. Well, it doesn't matter anymore. I thought, as I went to fold the suit he had thrown. A piece of paper fell out of the pocket. What's this? A divorce form. It was a completed divorce form. I was puzzled, but, so, he wants a divorce too. He threw it in my direction, which must mean he wants me to sign it and submit it to the city office. I had been planning to divorce anyway, and I'll happily submit it. I signed it that day and went to the nearest city office to file it. A month later, I went with my ex-husband to his parents' house. Though we were supposed to gather with relatives. Only the four of us were planned to meet since my parents had already passed away. However, when we arrived at his family home, there was another young woman there. What? No. What's this about? What do you mean? Shouldn't you be happy since the person you truly love is here? When I told my ex-husband that, he looked utterly confused. Of course, he would be. It's been a month, and we were supposed to meet with family. Yet here was his mistress. Who invited her, and for what purpose? He must have been frantically trying to figure it out. But before he could understand the situation, I started to speak. Did you really think it wouldn't come out? I already know about your affair. Ignoring your family to have fun with your mistress. It's despicable. Wait a minute. What's happening here? Don't play dumb. You told me we'd get married. To think I was just a mistress, that's the lowest of the low. As my ex-husband was being accused by me and his mistress. He looked completely lost, but this was all planned. Rewinding to when my daughter was still with us. She told me something unbelievable. Dad's probably having an affair. I heard him whispering on the phone in the middle of the night when I went to the bathroom. An affair.
Yeah.
I couldn't say anything to Dad, but when I'm gone, and it's just you and Dad, I want you to be happy. I was shocked and couldn't believe it when I heard this. Indeed, my ex-husband had neglected our family. But he seemed serious about his work and I thought he would never truly betray us in that sense. However, believing my daughter's words and doing a little investigation, the affair was confirmed. And the mistress was a junior at his company. Since they were from different departments, it might not have been known that my ex-husband was married. It was utterly ridiculous. Neglecting his daughter to have fun was unforgivable. But, with my daughter's unstable condition, I didn't want to be distracted by a divorce or demanding compensation. So I decided to settle everything after seeing my daughter's end. There was a completed divorce form in the pocket of your suit. You were planning to divorce me soon, right? That's... Well... But I've had everything investigated using a detective. You were planning to sell the house under my name and take that as part of the assets division. Weren't you? No, well. As I said this, my husband's eyes began to dart around. It must have hit the mark. The house where the three of us lived was inherited from my parents. The house had 2 children's rooms, left to us by my parents, who thought they would be useful for raising a family in the future. But now that our daughter has passed away, we no longer need such a large house. I had mentioned selling it to my husband. So his plan was to sell the house before we divorced. And then take half of the proceeds as part of the division of assets. I did intend to sell the house, but did you really think I'd let the money go to you? Even if there had been no affair, why would I reward you, who never cared for your family? Only did as you pleased, and made our daughter sad? As for the divorce papers, I've already filled them out and submitted them. Wait a minute. You've already submitted them? Yes, I have. You should be thanking me, actually. You wanted to marry a younger woman, so I've spared you the trouble without any complaints. The ex-husband, pale-faced, sank down on the spot, staring at me with his mouth open. His plans utterly ruined, filled with despair. But I wasn't the only victim of his actions. You're the worst for not only cheating me, but making your daughter sad while she was dying. How do you plan to take responsibility? Just shut up. What? You deceive people and don't even apologize? Quiet. Let me think. Think? What is there to think about? There's no way to fix this situation, and thinking is just a waste of time. Besides, why did I go out of my way to invite the mistress here and expose everything? He hasn't realized anything. You've really done the lowest of the low. You're no son of ours. To do this to your own daughter. What kind of human are you? I believe the ex-husband's parents, who adored their granddaughter from birth, were angrier than anyone else at his actions. Living quite far, they didn't come to see our daughter so frequently. About once every 6 months, and my daughter loved them dearly. We're cutting ties with you. And we've arranged for all the property to be inherited by Sandra. We want her to live well, for the sake of our granddaughter who has gone to heaven. Huh? What are you talking about? That's irrelevant. What's happening now has nothing to do with the properties you own. That's how you always are, getting all excited about money. Do you even have human blood in your veins? Pay the adultery compensation and live with that guilt for the rest of your life. That's how you can atone for your sins. Just before our daughter passed away, I used the money I saved from my part-time job to buy her a smartphone. She seems to have been in contact with her grandparents through it. And they heard about what was happening when they came for the funeral. I never wanted or intended to inherit my in-laws' property. But they loved their granddaughter more than anyone. That's why they wanted me, who had always been there for their beloved granddaughter, to live a good life. They said it would be much better to leave their estate to me than to my ex-husband. That's ridiculous. Are you trying to take everything from me? First of all, it's your fault our daughter was born with an illness. It was because of something wrong with your body that she wasn't born healthy. Don't say such ridiculous things. No matter what handicap she was born with, she was still your child. You're the one who neglected your responsibility and turned away from reality. A father and a husband who couldn't protect his family and just played around has no right to complain. Seeing my usually gentle in-laws so furiously angry, I guess they're deeply disappointed in what my ex-husband has done. But in a way, this was what our daughter wanted. In the end, she told me to move on with my life, assuring me she'd watch over me from the sky. It wasn't about fixing the relationship with my ex-husband, but my daughter wanted me to start a new life. A fitting end for a husband abandoned even by his daughter, I think. We have nothing more to say to you. We don't want you to contact us anymore, and even if you come back, you won't be crossing this threshold again. I'm going to sue you for compensation. And I'll expose everything to your company. People like you deserve to go to hell. Wait, please. Calm down. I was struggling mentally. I couldn't bear the situation with our daughter. I couldn't accept such a painful reality. So I was looking for emotional support. Understand me. Struggling and looking for emotional support? Who do you think suffered the most? It wasn't you, me, or the in-laws. It was our daughter herself. Do you have any idea how much she suffered? Keeping her pain hidden after realizing her illness until her last moment? And yet, you dare say such nonsensical things at the very end. If you say anything more ridiculous, I'll make sure you'll never speak again. What? Playing the victim now, are you? Is that what a father is supposed to say? You're just a piece of trash trying to justify your actions by pretending to be the victim. As I grabbed my ex-husband by the collar and told him off, he looked away and fell silent. Of course, we're divorced now, so there's no reason for me to let you into my home. I'll pack your belongings and leave them outside. Stay away from now on. After saying that, I gave a slight nod to the in-laws and left. Over the following days, I was busy searching jobs and suing my ex-husband for compensation. With the help of the in-laws and a lawyer, I managed to settle everything in about half a year. The house we lived in was sold, and now I live alone in a new apartment. Since the mistress was also deceived, I sued only my ex-husband for the affair compensation. As for my ex-husband, he ended up being sued for compensation by both me and his mistress, incurring a huge debt to settle those payments. Later, everything was exposed to his company by the mistress, leading to his resignation and loss of place. being abandoned by the in-laws and mentally disturbed. He has been unable to find re-employment, burdened by his debts. But I made sure to spread the truth through mutual acquaintances, so no one is willing to help him. The world is not fair. Illness, accidents, incidents, anyone could be the victim. Whether it's a stranger, a loved one, or oneself. No one can defy one's fate, and all we can do is cherish the remaining time. To dedicate ourselves to those we should protect and love. Scum that prioritizes only their desires over everything else will face a fitting end. I will continue to live diligently every day. Not to disappoint my daughter watching over me from heaven. Staying true to the path of a decent human being.